what about you, Lon? Where are you today?
I am on the banks of the beautiful Apple River in west central Wisconsin, right
Nice.
next to the Minnesota border, pretty much.
Wow, way up there.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. This is Daniel Hall, and welcome to another webinar presentation. I'm very excited about this presentation. And the reason I am is because I've actually seen it before, or at least a version of it. My friend Naylor and I were speaking at an event in Atlanta, and he was doing this presentation or one substantially similar to it, and I sat in on it and loved it so much. I said, Lon, we have got to bring this to those people that could not be here at this conference. Here we are, essentially. I asked Lon if he would do it, and Mr. Lon Naylor is in the house, and Lon said that he would. And so I was very happy about that. And the reason I was so happy about it is because I thought it was one of the best presentations I've ever seen when it comes to how to actually be profitable as an affiliate with video, and even having a small list. And as Lon told his story and the strategies that he used, I thought, man, this is going to be so good, so applicable to all of my community, to all of you, that here we are, right? So with that said, let me briefly introduce Lon Naylor. Lon really knows how to work a screen capture video and actually have it pay huge dividends. He is an expert at teaching it and at using the skills that he has with it to actually make money, to monetize those skills, and do so in a very big way. And what's important from your standpoint is, in my opinion, it is very duplicatable. In other words, you could take what Lon is about to teach here and use it in your own business, and I strongly recommend that you do exactly that. So with that, I'm going to turn the virtual microphone over here to my friend Lon Naylor. Lon, thank you so much for being here. The floor is now yours.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It's good to see everybody. And as Daniel mentioned, this presentation was given at NAMS, and it was given live there. So there might be a few differences. I'm going to try to show some video demo stuff, so I'll beg forgiveness in advance if some of that doesn't come across as crisply and cleanly, as it would in just being pumped out a projector kind of thing. But this presentation called Super Affiliate Marketing with Video, which I thought was actually a really lame title. That's what it was originally called, so I changed it. And I'm going to call it How to Run with the Big Dogs and Eat Their Lunch. Does that sound a little better? A little more exciting. So today we're going to talk about super affiliate marketing, specifically using video. Okay, and I'm going to touch on a whole bunch of different things here, but this particular presentation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to include a case study, and I'm going to kind of walk you through not just the overall kinds of things for affiliate marketing in general, but this is like a real world thing. This is stuff that I do, and we'll kind of see what those are, to deliver those messages for you in a way that you can kind of wrap your head around it and maybe even take some action on them, like Daniel mentioned. I'm going to include my top 10 takeaways out of this case study. So we're going to kind of look at it, and I'm going to tell you the top things that I thought about strategically and the top 10 processes that I kind of use to make it happen, right? I don't know, maybe I'll even have a few tips at the end if we have some time also. Does that sound good, Daniel? Here's what I won't...
That rocks, man.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's what I won't be talking about, and it's kind of fundamental to the whole deal here. I won't be talking about the fastest, the easiest, and the cheapest. A lot of times I think, especially in the internet marketing crowd, we get kind of focused on, okay, well, what's the fastest way to do this, or what's the easiest? And quite frankly, I'll just throw it out there. This is not my criteria for a successful business model, okay? And there's a reason that the cheapest is often the cheapest. There's a reason that free is free. And I would just caution folks to take into consideration that particular fact, especially when it comes to your business and being successful in a business. There's such a thing as called a return on investment. So I think in those terms, right? I don't mind spending a little bit of money if I can get a monumental return on that investment. It's kind of a no-brainer type of thing. I don't mind spending a little extra time, as we'll see in this case study, if it returns on that time investment. So, and when I talk about investment, I don't just talk about money. Time is money. So you're going to pay for something one way or the other. Free isn't always free in that case. You're going to spend time, right, learning to do something or learning to use something. And at the end of the day, was that really your best option in terms of what you actually put into something? So I'm just going to kind of throw that out there. Also, this presentation may be a departure from conventional wisdom, if you will. And it's going to have a lot of strategic elements in it. And for some folks, it might even fly in the face of what we think of as traditional affiliate marketing. Well, it's kind of that way on purpose, as you'll see. So in that sense, it might be able to be considered somewhat controversial, right? And the next thing that I really want to stress, and I totally want to point out and make sure that everybody gets, is that this is what I do. Okay, is it the best way? Well, I don't know for sure, to tell you the truth and to be quite honest and frank with you. Am I preaching the affiliate marketing gospel here during this particular session? No, I'm not. This is my religion. And as you'll see, as I kind of get cranked up and into this, I tend to be very passionate about this kind of thing, and particularly in some of the concepts that I'm going to share with you in the form of the takeaways. And I don't mean to sound preachy. Like I say, this is not the affiliate marketing gospel. So I might throw some things out there that might be a little bit foreign to you. Don't get too bogged down in stuff like that. Just try to think of the fact that, well, maybe these are some new concepts that I can at least now be aware of, right? And hopefully you'll get some excellent value out of the whole deal, okay? So how about that affiliate marketing thing, right? How many of you know that affiliate marketing online is actually born from porn? Yeah, so it's popular, right? But here's the thing, it was raised by mighty Amazon, and so in today's internet online marketing stuff, affiliate marketing, for those that actually might not know, is that what it entails is that you can essentially take other people's products and promote them, and then if a sale is made, then you will get an affiliate commission. So it's kind of like being a virtual salesperson, right? And the thing of it is that since you don't need a product to start with, to sell, is that it is, in essence, a pretty great way to get started. And we'll kind of see some of that as we move on through all of the various aspects of it here. Now, I'm going to deviate from traditional here, because if you have gotten into affiliate marketing, or again, if we kind of adhere to the traditional roadmap of affiliate marketing, here's kind of what they do. They tell you, well, you got to find a hot niche, right? You got to have a hot niche. And then you do your keyword research, you do a product review, you post some stuff which magically ranks you on page 1 of Google, which will in turn drive insane amounts of traffic to an affiliate offer, right? The thing you're promoting or selling, and then you sit back and you collect big fat affiliate checks on autopilot. Yeah, that never worked for me. And so essentially, my whole premise here is that I'm going to kind of take a specific tack, and we're going to kind of see how that might work. But so it's going to be a little unconventional in that respect. But here's the thing that I want everyone to kind of realize with affiliate marketing. The bottom line is that nobody gets paid until something gets sold. Okay, now I know that might sound like a kind of top level kind of a thing here, but if you're going to make money with affiliate marketing, specifically, again, in this example, then this is the goal here, right? So everybody needs to be on top of that because nobody gets paid until something gets sold, period. The problem I have with that is I hate selling. I do. Selling is hard. And if anybody feels me on that, go ahead and kind of type it into the chat box there, because if the bottom line is that something needs to be sold, then somebody needs to be good at what? Selling? And if selling is hard, or if anyone's ever struggled, with the aspect of trying to sell, then hopefully this might be a little different kind of a concept for you, okay? So it's hard, or icky if you prefer. So the act of trying to sell, if that's hard, the key point I want to kind of point out here is, well, I stopped doing that. I stopped trying to sell, right? And I think that this is going to be one of the concepts that people might kind of enjoy and be able to wrap their heads around. Now, don't confuse the act of trying to sell, trying so hard to sell with the art of asking for a sale, because we definitely need and want to do that because nobody gets paid until something gets sold. So there is a distinction and a differentiation there. Okay, so here's how we're going to roll this. Is going to do a case study and kind of lay it out for you and stuff as we go. Now again, this is going to be a case study that is for me in my market. Affiliate marketing is all about what niche you're in, right? So whatever it is that you are looking to promote in a specific market or area, that will be kind of how you might look at the tactics and strategies here and apply them in your case. But in this particular case, I just realized that this is what I would do in my particular market. So it's going to be very specific, but yet very broad in the concepts, right? Because it's a case study. It's literally what I did here. So let me kind of set this up for you. Anyone remember, like a month and a half ago, did anyone get an email, maybe two, promoting a particular product for a launch out there called Video Genesis? Okay, and I'm kind of hoping that some of the folks out there actually did, because it's kind of central to the point here. We've all kind of seen these things before, the big product launches, right? So yeah, I see a couple of answers coming in there. Did anyone get an email, maybe two, promoting the Video Genesis launch, right? Okay, let me follow that up one more time. Did anyone get an email, maybe two, from more than one promoter or more than one marketer, right? So I'm thinking, yeah, there you go. Yes, several, 5 or 6, several. Oh, yeah. So that's the thing. And you know what? We haven't gotten all the numbers and stuff in yet, but it was arguably one of the most successful internet marketing product launch ever. Okay, not in terms of actual sales, but in terms of traffic and signups and in general buzz and the promotional efforts that were put out there. And the reason it was that successful was because of affiliates like us, right? And something called joint venture partners. If you don't know what a joint venture partner, if you've never heard the term JV, okay, it's kind of it's really just an affiliate that with a different name. So a joint venture partner is the product creator will go out to folks and they'll say, hey, would you like to be my joint venture partner? Which basically means they want you to promote their product for them. The reason this launch was so successful was exactly what we just kind of witnessed and experienced and put into the chat box there. Many, many emails from many, many promoters, okay? So basically it had a thing called a JV blog, which is where the product creator kind of builds this buzz for a launch, and they put out all the information and stuff, and they also often have contests. The top contest for this particular contest, $100,000. And when you have blood like that in the water, you're going to get a few sharks swimming in, right? So Rich Sheffrin won the top prize of $100,000. Pam Hendrickson, who's Tony Robbins' promoter. And then you might see some other names here, and this is the final leaderboard, it's called. Mike Koenig's, Evan Pagan, Brendan Burchard, and these are all some pretty heavy hitters. They are some pretty big dogs, right? And here, though, if we look, what you're going to see is that in the top 20, I actually came in 12th place. Here's the thing. Again, you can even look at this list.
Highly respectable. I forgot the exact number. Sorry about that. But it's still highly respectable.
It's highly respectable. And why is it highly respectable? Well, take a look at this list. Jason Fladlin, the guy's a machine. He's a good buddy of mine, and I tried like hell to catch him at the end, but I just couldn't quite pull it off. Jeff Walker, Pete Williams from Australia, Ryan Dice, Jeff Johnson. These are considered super affiliates, and the reason they're considered super affiliates is because they sell the heck out of whatever it is that they promote, okay? And Richard says, congrats. Hey, thanks, Richard. I appreciate that. But here's the thing, is that on these launch or product launch leaderboards, I've been doing this consistently for about 3 years now. And these are some products that you may have also seen promoted that I ended up in actually the top 10 leaderboards, and I've won fabulous gifts and prizes and all that good stuff. Here's an interesting fact, though. So you might say, well, Lon, I mean, so what? What's the big deal? You came in, on a leaderboard. And here's where it starts to get a little more interesting, okay? This is a copy of an email that I sent out. When you promote products for a launch, you typically send out some emails. As we kind of saw, people got a lot of emails. Now, look at the total here, 5,766 subscribers. So in other words, that was the list that I sent this material out to, the numbers, okay? And now I'm going to pick on Eben Pagan because he's not here to defend himself. But I kind of know through the backdoor channels and the grapevine and stuff that Eben Pagan, for example, has a subscriber list of 150+ thousand. My list? What was that again? Dude, 5,766. Eben Pagan, 150,000. Now, the takeaway that I want to lend to you first of all is that, you know what? It turns out that you actually can run with the big dogs. If 150,000 plus list is a big dog, and I ended up in still the top 20, just a couple notches down from old Eben there, then I think we can solidly say that here's the good news. It is possible to run with the big dogs and or eat their lunch. Okay? Now, for those of you who know me, it might not come as a surprise, or even given the very clever title of the presentation tonight, to know that I used video extensively during this affiliate or joint venture promotion. In fact, I made a total of 13 videos all together, all told, to promote this particular product. And we'll get into some of these in just a minute. And, video is often thought of as, gosh, the holy grail, right? If I can, Lon used video, and if I can just use video, then, all my problems will be solved, and all the marketing goodness will just come to me if I just use video. Yeah, we're going to back that up just a minute, because here's the issue. Video is a double-edged sword. It is not the end-all, be-all wonder tool or panacea of if you just use video, then you will do well, okay? And here, as we'll see, I did a search here for Videogenesis, and you can see the results. It turns out a lot of people used video. No, really, a lot. Here's
Welcome to this page, my friend. My name is Stan, and I've been bringing you internet marketing.
That's Stan. Apparently he used video. And I guess if you wade through all the pages and pages of these videos that promoted Videogenesis, here's the predominant thing that I found. The vast majority, and when I say vast, I'm talking like literally almost every one of them. Gosh, what's the term I'm searching for here? Oh yeah, they suck big time. Okay, so here's takeaway number 2, and I'm going to call it right now. I used to predict this all the time. I've been preaching this for years, as a matter of fact, but I'm going to call it. The age of crappy videos is over. Okay, so that's a big concept to get. And I guess what I need to do there is qualify that a little bit. Well, what is that? What do you mean by that? What is a crappy video? So first of all, if your video is literally painful to watch or listen to, that's going to be your first criteria. And I bet you can almost all pick out any number of variations or examples of things that you have seen where you just kind of go, oh my gosh, and especially in terms of audio. Has anyone watched a video that the audio was so bad that it literally hurt to watch it? Okay? If that's you, or if that's the end result that you're getting, that's going to have to change. It just really is, because here's the thing. With all the myriad of video content that gets uploaded every single second on the internet, people are just not going to tolerate it. You know, and it used to be that, oh yeah, video, it's awesome, it's cool, and people were very forgiving in the early days, and even not that in the recent past, very forgiving of quality, and that's just not going to be the case anymore, right? So that's step number one. If your video is painful to watch or listen to, and believe me, the ones that I just kind of flipped through there in that search, they very much were. That's not going to cut it. But more importantly, and what we're going to focus on mostly today, is that the message is much more important. Because here's the thing, people don't want to waste their time with videos anymore. So things like rambling introductions and, oh, good grief, you know, they just have no point or no purpose. When you are promoting something or you're making a sales video of any kind in general, here's the secret sauce. The message is the master. Whirling, twirling, spinning, flying graphics and stuff don't mean jack. Okay? In fact, they might even hurt you. If you don't do them right, you'll end up looking stupid. All you have to do is focus on the message, and we'll call that the content. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to do that. So if you are painful to watch or you have a crappy message, then you are going to do much less in terms of sales and our overall goals than you might otherwise. So let's think about that for a second. Kind of a brainstorm as we look at this, I now realize, somewhat disturbing image. Let's see here. So if it's the content and the message that's the master here, what kind of video or what kind of content could we provide to people in an affiliate marketing promotion? We're going to use video. What kind of video might we make? Does anybody have any kinds of ideas? I want to promote a product. What kind of video might I make to promote it? AD's got it right off the bat. Everybody, almost everybody here is kind of on board, and we have a couple of other good answers here too, but I'm going to focus on the product review demo. Okay, so how about a product review, right? Oh, it's awesome. So you find a product and you review it, and you show all the doodads and, you know, all the thing like that. Maybe at the end you give it your thumbs up. I mean, who wouldn't be persuaded by you providing all of the information that someone needs to make an informed buying decision, right? Well, here's my next takeaway. I call it information is worthless. All that information that you're going to give somebody to convince them to buy a product, yeah, that's kind of worthless. Now, let me, before you like freak out on me or anything, let me kind of explain what I mean there. Let's think about this for a second. Information is, first of all, everywhere, right? If you want to get information about something, can you find it? Is it like everywhere on the billions and billions of pages and millions and billions of videos out there? The information itself is out there. Oh, and wait, it gets worse. It's also free, right? You can go find information for free. So if that's the criteria we're using here, it might be something we want to think about. Now, this is actually almost a little bit more recent phenomenon that information is absolutely everywhere and, oh, by the way, free. So here's an interesting kind of a thing. In the last 24 months, more information has been created, cataloged, indexed, and archived since the beginning of recorded human history combined. So that means that information is now kind of something else, isn't it? So what we as marketers need to do is to think about, are we asking for credibility, trust, and rapport? You know, in other words, are we asking someone to trust our recommendation and that we are credible in giving this recommendation for an affiliate product for something that is free and abundant? Well, what that's going to do is put us smack dab in the middle of Ordinaryville, smack dab in the middle of a sea of other people that are doing the exact same thing. In fact, if I were to flip back to that page full of videos, I did a search for Video Genesis, but the results that came up were primarily Video Genesis review. And I got to tell you, they were all pretty worthless for the most part. So if that's kind of the case, and my goal is to stop selling, then instead of offering information as my content, here's what I focus on. I stopped selling and I provide content that validates the realization of success. And we'll get into a couple of specific examples of that. But here's kind of the basic bottom line, and I think everyone would think this is true, and I know Daniel probably has told everyone this kind of thing. People don't like to be sold to, but they do very much want you to help them buy. Okay, so content that validates the realization of success is kind of the key there. So now, instead of selling, I focus on educating. I educate. I don't try to sell. I educate with a heavy focus on helping the prospect visualize what life will actually be like when they too realize the benefits of the product. Okay, so don't think your product review just by going over a whole bunch of features. It does this, and oh, it does that, it does this. Nobody cares about any of that. What do people care about? They care about the benefits that a feature will give them to scratch their itch, to solve their problem, to avoid pain or pursue pleasure. Okay, I think that's a concept that, you know, we all kind of know about. You always talk about benefits, not necessarily features, or you lay out the benefits first and then say, here are the features that provide the benefits. But this takes it one step further, doesn't it? Okay, I'm not just talking about benefits. I'm talking about how to help the person visualize what their life will be like when they realize the benefits of the product. Okay, so kind of lay out our case study foundation here. If you're familiar with a product launch, here's kind of the way it rolls. You know, you get like a 3 or 4 video process, right? A pre-launch, if you will. And this one was no exception. In fact, Mike Filsame and Andy Jenkins are probably the 2 masters at this. And when it comes to video, nobody does video better than Andy Jenkins. So that was how this launch kind of played out. So here's basically what I did. For each of the videos that come out, and they're usually staggered, you know, 3-4 days apart, okay, I watched the videos. And instead of looking for, you know, the features or the benefits, what I did was I sat down and I went, how would I use this and actually be able to realize the benefits? And that was the core of my content, right? Lots of other people are talking about stupid stuff, you know, like, oh, this video was great, and they talked about this and this and this. Well, what we're going to see is I watched the videos and I thought about, oh, that's great. It does this and this and this. How can I help my prospect visualize what their life will be like when they too realize the awesomeness that is the product? Okay, so that's the scoop. And I used video. So let's let this roll for just a second. What's wrong with this screen capture video?
It's so small.
I was born that way.
Cut.
It's so small.
That's what she said.
Oh, come on, guys.
It's really hard to read the text.
It is.
Hard to read indeed, but what you just saw is an example of something called an outtake. An outtake is a portion of work, usually a film or music recording, that is removed in the editing process and not included in the work's final publicly released version. Most folks know it as a blooper. The sample you just saw is from the Video Genesis product launch videos by Mike Vilsame and Andy Jenkins. See how to have some fun with these as I continue ripping off the boss. Kind of a hobby of mine. The scene from Andy and Mike may have looked like bloopers, but was actually fully scripted and very much on purpose. It's a great example of what's called a pattern interrupt. Whenever you see something that throws you for a loop and leaves you scratching your head, you've just had your pattern interrupted. The normal pattern is your brain watching and beginning to think to itself, yeah, I got this. I know what's going on. Well, to deliver a more effective message, we yank the rug out from under the viewer every once in a while to re-engage the know-it-all brain and get it back on track with our message. I'm in Camtasia Studio, and let's take a look at the moving parts that pull this kind of thing off. There are two main elements and also some optional stuff we can do. In its basic form, it's really just a blank white image and a sound effect clip. And it's short, only 0.3 of a second long. We can use this in a Camtasia project in a couple of ways. First, okay, and I know the audio on that is probably pretty low, but in essence what I'm doing is I laid out the problem and then I'm kind of showing people exactly how to use that tipper technique. And I also created stuff that they could use. This is just an image I created in PowerPoint and saved out to PNG. And I have a bunch of these to give you also, and you can add them to your library. Okay. I'll show you how in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of get past that. But the point being was that that was a piece of video content. And what I did was I laid out the scenario that, oh, hey, this product, here's something really interesting. Okay. And then I dug into it and I found a way to use it. And then additionally, I showed others how to use it. Oh, and I went the extra step there and actually created the stuff that they would need to use it themselves. And at the very end, we didn't really get to let it roll there, but I showed it in action. So it kind of took it from the very beginning concept of interest and then just built upon that. And I educated people and I showed them. So here's the scoop, is that information, you know, in essence, I gave them a bunch of information, right? But information can and does have value. It has much more value when your customer understands how they're going to use it in their life. Okay, now I didn't just show them, I gave them the stuff. And I did this a bunch of times. For every video, I found 3 or 4 things that were just like, oh, wow, that is awesome. And the key to the product information that I gave people was I didn't just say it's awesome, I walked the walk, right? I talked the talk. So takeaway number 5, I showed them what victory feels like, right? I think that's kind of a good tag phrase there, is that, yeah, I'm showing them what victory looks and feels like. So, because here's the thing, when you get a product, first thing you kind of undergo is, oh gosh, well, how am I going to do that? You know, am I going to be successful being able to use it? And the thing that I kind of point home there is that I wasn't just selling the product, I was selling or educating on what victory looked like. So that's kind of a interesting concept,
Lon,
right? Yeah.
Can I just interject something right there, because
yeah, absolutely.
one of the things that I thought was so cool about that particular technique, and something that's duplicatable, is lots of times in launches like this, essentially, if you decide that it's something that you want to promote to your people, then what you did is you actually watched the videos as they came out, and you picked up one or two things that you thought, oh, number one, it's sort of cool, okay? And in this case, you focused on the outtake part of that video, but then you pulled out that one thing that they did, you showed them why they did it, and then actually built tools for your subscribers to use it in their own work. And you did this over and over again. That's what I understand you to be saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying, and that's exactly what I did. And we'll see some of the interesting results of that in just a bit. But yeah, so I hope folks kind of get that concept. And, you know, again, I know that this particular presentation and case study, you know, if you don't know exactly what I'm talking about here, it might be a little tough to wrap your head around. But I hope that Daniel pointed out that that is a concept that is kind of, it's a big strategic deal, right? So.
Well, it's something that people can do themselves when, as new launch videos or new launch materials are coming out onto the marketplace from the main product producer. You are actually identifying, watching them, reading them, whatever, and identifying those things that can really help your audience, and then pulling it out and essentially showcasing that one or two or three things that make it special in your mind, and you're bringing your special brand, your perspective for your particular audience that that you've been serving for a while, which I think is the other part of this. So I just wanted to, again, really glom on to that concept, because it's something that could be done over and over and over again, depending on the product.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'll just drill into that just a second, because you make a very good point. Now, in this particular case, I was following a product launch, right? So the content that I looked at and came up with these tips and tricks and education, and then figured out ways to let people visualize and realize their own personal victory, could be done with just about any product. It doesn't have to be a product launch. You can go to what? The sales page, any other affiliate tools that people might provide for promoting a product, and just take a different perspective on it, right? So you go to the sales page, and instead of just burping out all the features, and if you're a little bit better at marketing, focusing on the benefits, well, see what that benefit means. How would you show that benefit? Okay, is there a way to literally, visually show that benefit in a way that would help somebody visualize how they can also realize that benefit? Because that's one of the cool things about video, especially when I do like a screen capture video where I'm showing somebody how to do something. They're watching over my shoulder. Well, that's one aspect of it, but think about this for a second. If somebody's looking over my shoulder and literally watching me do something successfully, what happens subconsciously in their minds? Well, they are seeing it happen and unfold before their very eyes, and what happens is they are subconsciously, again, able to envision themselves doing it successfully. Okay, so that's really kind of a big part of it. The other big piece of that is my goals when I sat down to watch those videos, or if I sit down and evaluate a product. When I look at its features and benefits, I have goals, right? My goals are, well, what's it going to do for me? And then beyond that, well, how am I going to get it to do that for me? And will I be successful? So everybody evaluating a product has those same goals, don't we? Right? So the interesting thing that happens when I provide that kind of content for my people, guess what? Our goals just aligned. And what does that make me? Does that make me just a product reviewer? Or it certainly doesn't make me the product pusher, you know, the creator of the product. Their only interest is to sell something. But our goals in how are we going to actually do this. I am now a trusted peer, and we have the same goals. I tell you, when you can match up the desires of your prospect and your ability to show them that you have the same goals, that is some powerful marketing juice right there. You're the one that they will trust and they will pick. So the question is, how the heck do you come up with those victory ideas? And here's your next takeaway. Yeah, I made a list in Word with some notes. So everybody can do this. You sit down, you look at a product, and you start making some notes. Okay, and in this case, I did it again for every video. It's just a silly Word document, and what I did was I sat down and just kind of outlined it all, right? And now granted, I take some pretty good notes here, but what I started to find was things just started popping out at me. Ideas started popping out at me. Well, I love this little concept. How do I do that? And I just started, putting stuff together, and you'll notice like some links there. And I gave them extra, not just information, but that extra stuff that will help them feel confident that they can actually do the same kind of thing. So I created this in Word, and I embellished it a little bit, right, with some images and screenshots and stuff like that. And then I also put in links. And guess what kind of links I might have included in this free content that I just gave away to everybody? Yeah, not just links to the videos and the extra resources and stuff, but certainly my affiliate link. Okay, and if you're familiar with affiliate marketing, what happens is you get cookied for all of that. And there you go, boom, right? So I had all this stuff going on, and in a Word document, all I did was save as a PDF document. Okay, so some of the content of this document points to videos and stuff, but this is kind of the tip that I use to figure out what it is that I'm going to, make videos about. Okay, oh, and by the way, I ended up with this awesome PDF document as an extra piece of content because, quite frankly, again, video is not the end-all, be-all kind of a thing. People a lot of times like to have a piece of thing in there, something they can read and go back to and peruse and things like that. So our goals aligned, and I ended up with a whole bunch of other content, which is basically kind of the point here. So one of the things that I always look to do is I call it repurpose on purpose. You know what? When you create a video, particularly one that has audio narration, what do you also have? An MP3 file, an audio file that can easily be used. And I scripted out almost all of my videos, which I almost always do. The document you just kind of looked at was a planning document. I was able to leverage that, or we call it repurposing. So I repurpose on purpose. Some people might have looked at that document and went, oh, well, that's just a lot of work. Was it? Because I was able to take that and then repurpose it into my video content, and then also repurpose my video content into an audio podcast or, any number of things. So video is great and all, but, sometimes you just want a content-packed report. And I'll tell you what, here's an interesting statistic. 19% of all of my affiliate clicks came from these reports that I gave away and no other source. Okay, so it wasn't always necessarily the video, but 19%, that's a pretty significant kind of a deal there, right? So takeaway number 7, repurpose on purpose. Planning document turned into content. Oh, and by the way, it turned into content that at the end of the day, I was proud to send to those people. Let me ask you this for a minute. Do you think that Eben Pagan or Rich Schefren or any of those people were literally proud to send out the canned emails that went with the product launch? Yeah, I wonder. Interesting. So here, it works for any kind of content. Again, you can look at a sales page. You can get the email swipe files from, whatever product you're promoting in posts and, turn it into a little bit of a document. Find the coolest, the most single useful kick-butt must-have thing that it does, and then show people how they can make it real. And that's kind of the secret sauce there. Now, another thing is I did a little interesting technique here. You know, how many of you that got some of those emails from those other promoters, how many of you got pretty darn tired of the whole Video Genesis thing by the very end? Anybody want to pop an answer in there? Did anybody like get sick of hearing about the stupid thing? Yeah. Okay, so here's the scoop. I created a climate where I could be celebrated and not just tolerated, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So for this particular launch, I created a separate squeeze page, okay, and I used, of course, video to get people to sign up. So this is a screenshot of just, you know, my squeeze page, and then down at the bottom, and in this content here, I'm basically saying, hey, you know what? Video Genesis is coming. I know you're going to get bombarded with emails. I know that some of you will want to get a lot of information. And by the way, I'm going to give you the coolest stuff you have ever seen when it comes to this launch. If that sounds right to you, or, you know, if that's something you want, put your name and email here, and I will send you that. Okay, so think about that for a second. What I did was I created a list, a segmented list, which was a place where Video Genesis could be celebrated and not just tolerated. Okay, I didn't blast out all of this content and stuff to my regular list. Instead, I invited them to come and get really down and dirty with it. So what result did that have? Well, I ended up with a list that was intensely interested, and then I smothered them in the sweetest, gooeyest video goodness and education that they could possibly ask for. Here's kind of what happened. So out of my 5,766 list, only 448 people signed up for this special information dump, and I emailed them every 2 days for 2 weeks with content. Okay? Do you think my regular list would have gotten a little ticked at me if I had sent that amount of content to them? Yeah, they probably would have. But 448 people raised their hand and said, yeah, bring it, baby. Here's the interesting thing. 68% of my total sales came from that 448 list. And if you do the math on the commissions, then that actually turns out to be a pretty good number. 43% of that list purchased. That's a 43% conversion rate. Oh, I did have 6 unsubscribes. Okay, so I created a place to be celebrated, not just tolerated. 448 people said, yeah, bring it, and only 6 said, well, that's not quite right for me. So that's kind of an interesting concept, no? And then here, takeaway number 9 is a victory bonus. Here's the thing, you got to have a bonus. Right? YouTube is littered with these bonus videos. And what you'll find in most product launches, you'll get what? $16,000 worth of crap or worthless information in value. Right? Yeah, I didn't do that. Instead, hi, my name is Naylor, and in this video, I'm going to tell you about all the extra video marketing training that I'll be offering to you as a bonus when joining Video Genesis through me. But first, a word from our sponsor.
I am, like you, fascinated by the challenges of video marketing. Things like, how do I get my customer to buy using screencasts and presentation style videos? What are the tricks of the trade, if you will? I find these and other questions intriguing. So when it comes to video marketing, I like to learn from the best. That's why when I first met Naylor, I liked him from the start. You see, what I've found is that Lon knows how to make videos like a boss. And he knows how to teach all of us how to do the same. If you're like me, you're excited.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. Well done.
Because the time has come for Video Genesis.
I'm just messing with you. but I put that clip together to make a point. And it's the basis of what I think the value is that I can bring to the Video Genesis bonus table, and that is to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. Maybe you recognize my sponsor clip as an example of how Andy Jenkins kicked off video number 2 and the trailer clip in the Video Genesis launch series.
That's why when I first met Mike and Andy, I liked them from the start.
The whole Morgan Freeman thing. I thought this content was hilarious and creative and effective. But I had questions. How could I take what Andy did, that concept, that inspiration that is the best of what he has to offer, and make it real? So I figured it out. I came up with a plan, I found the resources, and I worked with the tools and technology at my disposal to hopefully pull it off. My bonus to you for investing in Video Genesis through my affiliate link is to share this ability to take which Andy shows and make it so. That's my kung fu. I'll do that by delivering help, and lots of it. Here's what I've got for you. For starters, I'm including 1 year of access to my screencast coaching program, where my training partner Michelle Shane and I deliver weekly live webinars for our students and answer questions on creating screencast videos using Camtasia and PowerPoint. We do demonstrations, give video critiques, explore all kinds of new resources, new techniques and technologies, all kinds of stuff. Plus, we record the sessions in case you can't attend, and you'll also get access to over 100 of these recorded sessions with tons of tips, tricks, best practices, and solutions to other people's questions. I'm also going to continue the Kung Fu you've seen me do with an additional series of at least 4 webinars specific to Video Genesis called the Video Genesis Workshop. See, I'll also be purchasing Video Genesis and going through the course. And in this special webinar series, we'll drill down into the nuts and bolts of screencast, presentation, and animation style videos. I'll share any ninja tricks, templates, and basically continue ripping off the boss. Big time. Here's the thing. No matter how good a training course is, you're probably going to get stuck at some point on something. Hopefully, over the last few weeks of following the pre-launch videos and diving into some of the nitty-gritty ripping off the boss tutorials and templates you've gotten from me, I've demonstrated to you in fairly dramatic fashion that I can take what Andy does, break it down, and help you do it too. And I also have some unadvertised bonuses coming during these sessions to help you get your videos done. So if that kind of bonus makes sense to you and you'd like to join me, click the link below and grab Video Genesis. Then just email a copy of your receipt to lonnaylor@gmail.com and I'll hook you up with instructions on how to claim your bonuses. And here's the really sweet part. I highly recommend you try Video Genesis. You can do this risk-free because, of course, it comes fully satisfaction, money-back guaranteed. But if you decide that it's not right for you and elect not to continue with it, you still keep both of my special bonuses as my gift to you for checking it out. So click the link and we'll get started. But before you join me, I want to make a couple of very important disclosures. First of all, as you may have noticed, I don't really do camera video. My expertise is in screen capture video called screencasts using Camtasia and presentation style videos using PowerPoint and a few other tools. I won't be covering much at all in the way of creating on-camera video. Andy does this better than anybody. But I can help you integrate it into Camtasia, for example, and I can point you to my trusted go-to camera experts whenever necessary. Secondly, I am not a Mac person. I use and train folks on video applications that run on the Windows platform, period. If you live in a completely Mac world and Keynote and ScreenFlow are your weapons of choice, I literally cannot help you. And rather than you be unhappy, which I just can't have, I'd rather send you somewhere else. So if this describes you, shoot me an email and I'll hook you up with my most awesome counterpart in the Apple universe. I hope you found this valuable as you wade through the torrent of Videogenesis offers sure to hit your inbox. I guess I would just suggest that you ask yourself, as you ponder your many options, what kind of videos does this person make? Do they walk the walk? Or just talk the talk? Thanks for watching. And, you know, I know you'll enjoy the Videogenesis course. We'll see you on the inside.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Ah, boy. So, my bonus, I call it the victory bonus. So instead of offering $16,000 worth of worthless crap, my bonus was, hey, I'm going through the Videogenesis course also. So what I'm going to offer you is help, and a ton of it. Okay? So I offered a year subscription to my screencast coaching program, weekly webinars, and we'll actually talk about that in just a second. Right? So lots of help. And I also conducted, let's see, we've got like 4 live webinars that we did and recorded on how to take the content in Videogenesis and actually make it happen. Okay, so that's kind of the secret there. I made my bonus relevant to achieving victory. If you're going to provide a bonus, nobody cares about, 16 gigs worth of PLR articles. What they care about and what is appealing to them is something that helps them realize the benefits, okay, like we talked about before, right? So now here's kind of the bottom line, maximum leverage. So I bet you're all thinking at this point, wow, that was a lot of work. And in reality, it was about 90 man-hours of my time to kind of do all that stuff. So I guess the question begs, is it worth it? Well, again, if you do the math on the conversions and commissions and stuff, I had a 5-figure payday, for doing the product. Now, for some people, that might be, a pretty good day, and they might be happy with that. Want a couple of Kindles, and, whatever. The thing is that instead of doing a one-off promotion, okay, the launch is over, right? So we call that one-off, meaning that it happened and now it's done. Right? Yeah, I wanted to set this up so that I could actually get maximum leverage. So here's the thing. In creating these extra webinars, these bonus webinars that are recorded, so now I have a product, in essence, of how to actually use Videogenesis. Here's what I'm doing. I'm going back to all these people that promoted, and I actually know a whole bunch of these people. And I'm saying, hey, Jason, remember Videogenesis that you made such a buttload of money on? Well, guess what? I happen to now have a product that is recorded webinars inside a membership site that goes into, very, very detailed step-by-step how to actually do the stuff that's in the course. So there's a lot of great concepts and content and stuff in the course, but I'll tell you what, when it comes to like Camtasia, screen captures, or PowerPoint videos, yeah, they don't go into that step by step. Well, I did. And I showed my, the people that bought through my link and got my bonus how to do it. Yeah, I recorded it. And now I have this thing that I can go to Jason and say, hey, dude, if you liked Videogenesis, guess what? For all those people that you now know about, all those customers that bought through your link, we got another little something that we can go ahead and offer them. What do you think? And so that's what I call maximum leverage. Okay, so I created this bonus, and it's inside, a membership site, and I go to those folks and I say, yeah, here we got something else. It's a product.
By the way, Lon, this is just so brilliant. And the other thing I want folks to understand is that you could take those same recordings, and maybe you could go to Jason or go to any of the other marketers on that particular list, and not just have them sell it, but actually give it away as a bonus for their folks in exchange for people getting onto your list.
See, now you're talking, because, you know, and what is that? Is that maximum leverage? Yeah, they might not want to promote it, but if I just give it to them, how much of a no-brainer is that for them, like Daniel says, to send me a whole bunch of people? Because people love content. All of us as marketers, we love content, right? We love stuff like that we don't have to create, but yet provides great value for our customers.
Exactly.
You know? And so that's an awesome way to also do maximum leverage. Brilliant. But the point being that I took the time to create all of that content because I can leverage it in so many ways here. Okay, now let me give you one more.
That's the point.
Let me give you one more. I know Mike Filsame and I know Andy Jenkins. Okay. Oh, and by the way, do you think I got their eye at all for being one of their top JV partners for the last 3 years? Yeah, I did. So, and I use video to do that and all the kind of stuff we talk about, but here's the kind of the scoop here. Can I now go to Mike and or Andy, and inside the Video Genesis membership site, there is a thing called Partner Resources. And, you know, it's Josh Bartlett's Easy Video Suite, you know, and stuff that's related to video production and creation and stuff like that. Can I go to Mike and Andy and say, hey, guys, by the way, you don't really go into using Camtasia and PowerPoint. So you got a whole bunch of Windows users out there that are kind of hosed because, quite frankly, they talk about Mac stuff, ScreenFlow and Keynote, and those are great. But, you know, for how many of the 8,000 plus members and sales of Video Genesis might be Windows users that feel like they just got, like, screwed, right? Can I go to Mike and Annie and say, hey, here's a set of video modules. Would you like to put a link to that inside your partner site, right? Okay, and then like I mentioned before, and then Daniel reiterated, cross-promote in a number of ways. Either, you know, promote my bonus as a product, or, of course, the idea of list building that Daniel had to other Video Genesis JVs. Okay, all of which, by the way, even the people on that list, the leaderboard list that I don't know, do you think that they, you know, might at least have an idea or be curious about who the heck is this guy, kind of a thing? So, I mean, that's kind of the overall strategy here and what I wanted to talk about and what the presentation was about. But here's the thing. I know it might have seemed a little bit out there, and yeah, it's, you know, I'm sure you have any number of questions or concerns on it, but I want to caution folks on is that things move quickly in internet time. I bet if you've been doing this any amount of time, you already know this. What used to work doesn't work. And people that get complacent are just going to get stuck behind. And in internet time, you have to be on the leading edge of things to be most successful. Otherwise, you're just going to be kind of mopping up the loose gravy on the plate. So be open, be watchful. That's just my opinion, but I could be wrong.
Video Genesis, I got no time to explain, but get your bonus through